Hello, thank you for coming to my video. If you would like to help my channel grow, please like and subscribe, and please click on this little bell icon so you never miss a future video. Good day, everyone. Welcome back. We are doing part 2 of the Halo series. So we are doing Halo 2, the game that pretty much revolutionized Xbox One and matchmaking and all of that stuff. So I'm currently playing Halo 2 on the Master Chief Collection of Halo on the Xbox One. The bottom left corner, I have the original Halo 2 pre-recorded and running, and I'm actually playing that on a 360, and I'll kind of get into all of that. And on the bottom right, I have the PC version playing using the Cartographer mod. I'm using the Cartographer mod to get the game running on a modern PC. But yeah, I'll get to that as well. So yeah, Halo 2. Game had a lot of hype coming out for it. I mean, it followed the first Halo that Halo made the Xbox. Like I said on a previous video, I didn't really buy an Xbox for Halo. I bought it because it was the most powerful system, had the best graphics, and I wanted the best gaming experience, and got into Halo from that and stuck with Xbox because of that. So yeah. Master Chief Collection, of course, the cutscenes have like these live action CG generated cutscenes which look fantastic, which actually Halo Wars did that first in the Halo series, but they look really good. Adds a little bit of extra cutscene here to kind of bridge it from between like the Halo series and going into Halo 5, because Halo 5 was coming out, which I thought was crap, but we'll get into that. But yeah, the original Halo 2, which I got playing in the bottom corner of game, supported widescreen 16:9. Wasn't an HD game. It was 480p, but you know, still supported widescreen. Came out during an interesting time because you had games that really pushed the boundaries in graphics, like Half-Life 2 had just come out, Doom 3 had just come out, or at least they were coming out around that same time. So it was definitely competing in terms of best graphics. It was not near best graphics, but they were pretty good. Yeah, they were definitely good. And of course, the PC version came out a few years later, which kind of showed some of the flaws in the original graphics. You know, like the draw distance, like textures being redrawn as you get closer to them, like just little tricks like that to save memory, things like that. Or like if you're playing the Halo 2 on the 360, which kind of upscaled it to HD a little bit, you would notice things like that a little bit more, where they weren't really noticeable in the original Xbox. But the PC version, you could play it at you can render the game at like a true 1080p or 720p or just whatever resolution your PC was set at the time. And looked really good. But yeah, here we are with the introduction of the Arbiter, which, when you're playing this game for the first time, you don't know this yet, but the Arbiter is one of the main characters of the game, where you actually play as him. And it was kind of a mixed reaction when that happened. You know, because it was kind of like Metal Gear Solid 2. You know, you're expecting to play as Solid Snake, and all of a sudden you get to like a little bit in the game, and all of a sudden you're playing as Raiden, and that's like your main character. Not quite as bad. He's not like your main character, but he's like, you know, one of your main characters. So, and at the time you're like, wait, what is this? And you know, little repetitive, little weird. Not really what you expected. But when you kind of go back and play the game, you kind of appreciate the story a little bit more. But, I mean, Halo 2 had a lot of criticisms for its story when it came out because of how much the game was overhyped. I mean, you had that E3 trailer that came out where it showed like the gameplay demo, and the campaign didn't really seem to match that as much. So a lot of people were expecting that majority of the campaign would take place on Earth and kind of expand the overall Halo universe. And then, you know, turns out they kind of stretched it out and saved a lot of that for Halo 3, which was kind of good in one way, but unfortunate in another way. So since I'm playing this on the Master Chief Collection, which Master Chief Collection was basically Halo 2's Anniversary Edition. Like, just like the Anniversary Edition on Halo 1, if I hit the back button on my controller, or the guide button, whatever the hell they call it. Oh, I gotta wait for the next cutscene. That's okay. Wait for that to load here. And of course, the PC version, you know, it can run at 60 frames per second. The original game ran at 30. So it's, you know, nice and smooth, but again, it wasn't like that when it came out, and we'll get to that.
Your new suit's a Mark 6, just came up from Songnam this morning.
But like if I hit the back button now, it shows the original graphics compared to the newer graphics.
Okay, let's test your targeting first thing.
And they kind of preserved like the art style and the color and the color tones and things like that. Because the game didn't come out like shortly after Halo Reach like Halo 1 Anniversary did. So at first you're like, oh, these graphics don't look that different. And then you hit the back button like, oh, wait, yeah, they do. Because you're just kind of used to newer graphics and textures and whatnot. But, I mean, the game on the Xbox One, it plays at 1080p. And I don't believe it plays at a true 1080p. I think it's like a lower resolution that's stretched out. But honestly, I can't tell too much. Halo 3 I could, but we'll get into that as well. But sometimes, I remember when I first played this, I would leave it on the classic graphics like that and forget about it and go, oh yeah.
Pay attention, because I'm only going over this once. This station will test your recharging energy shields. Your new armor shields are extremely resilient, very efficient.
Of course, the game starts off in this little station here, and Covenant's going to attack, and then you go and take the fight to Earth. Whoops. Out of bounds there.
Bingo. As you can see,
but yeah, the original version that's pre-recorded, I was playing it on the 360, and the 360 version, or not 360 version, but the original version on the 360 has this backwards compatibility bug that shows up every once in a while, where something in the background will actually display in front of everything that's really faint, and you actually got to restart the game. And I believe there's a couple times in this video where I actually had to do that. So if you see me restarting it, you'll notice why.
So Johnson, when you gonna tell me how you made it back home in one piece?
Sorry, Guns. It's classified.
It's classified.
My ass. Well,
because he's one of the original Spartans. Oops, spoiler.
Well, he's in a particularly fine mood.
I believe that's what the story was.
Shipped out for basic.
And when I first played the campaign, you know, I had this nice little intro, and it's obviously going to expand like the whole universe and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed the campaign when I first started the first couple stages. And even when I started playing the Arbiter, you know, the first stage, it was like, all right, this is kind of neat, this is kind of different. But I found the Arbiter stages a little repetitive, which we'll get to that when we approach it. But yeah, the first couple stages, I thought the Halo campaign started off with a bang. I mean, I thought it was like, oh wow, this is really good. This is everything I wanted. And then all of a sudden, you get back in the about in the halfway point of the Halo 2 campaign, and then all of a sudden it started to feel really repetitive, and it just wasn't that satisfying, especially with the ending. I mean, the ending was a cliffhanger ending. It was like, oh, that's all. And again, that's because of the hype of Halo 2, and it kind of needed that one last stage for the Master Chief to kind of, you know, like the first Halo had like that Warthog run or something like that, or so here's a good opportunity here. Like it shows like the CG cutscenes, and of course I can actually hit the back button and switch back and forth between the rendered cutscenes and the CG ones. Kind of a cool difference there. And they put a lot of work in these cutscenes too. They look fantastic. Again, Master Chief Collection was an absolute buggy mess when it came out, and we will definitely get to that. I'm saving all that for the Master Chief Collection video, because otherwise I'll talk about nothing but that. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about before that. I think I was talking about the campaign. So yeah, the campaign, you know, it ended on a cliffhanger, and it needed that last final Master Chief stage just to kind of like close that out to lead up to Halo 3. And I believe they had one planned, and I don't read a lot of the comics or books that much, but I think they had a stage where, or a story where Master Chief tried to snipe one of the prophets, or yeah, I think he tried to snipe the prophet, and failed, and you know, then it led up to Halo 3. So they definitely had some story there that they could have worked with.
You look nice.
Thank you. Sergeant Major, the Colonial.
Yeah, if you go back and play the campaign again, you can kind of appreciate it a little better. But at the time, to me, it was the worst campaign, especially when you compared it to the first Halo campaign, which is funny because the first campaign, they didn't have a huge development time once they had to make the game for the Xbox, and a lot of the stages were recycled. So like, you know, like Assault on the Control Room, for example, was basically the same stage, just played backwards at nighttime, and a couple other stages like that. Halo 2 didn't really have that. At least not very much. I think like one stage toward the end had that. But it still, to me, felt kind of repetitive. You know, it got kind of boring because of the flood and things like that. So, and that's just how I felt about it. I don't know if everyone felt that way about it, but it's definitely how I felt. And I think because the game was Xbox Live, I mean, it was the game that pretty much standardized online gaming on the console market, that I was able to go back I was able to play Halo 2 online all the time, and I didn't need to, like, you know, replay the campaign over and over again, where the first Halo, the only time you could ever play multiplayer was with friends at LAN parties. So when I was playing by myself, I was basically just playing the campaign over and over again, where Halo 2 didn't really do that. But I mean, looking back on it, I definitely appreciate the campaign a little bit more, even though it's still not the best campaign for Halo. It's better than Halo 5. I mean, by far.
Give their capital ships a straight shot at Earth. Master Chief, defend this station.
But I mean, I would say it's just under the Halo 3 campaign. I like the Halo 3 campaign better than this one, but not as much as the ODST campaign. I really like the ODST campaign. I thought that was really good. So yeah, we got a nice, smooth 60 FPS here. You know, old and new graphics.
All hands, report to battle station.
Which the original game was only 30.
How's it going, Malta? Stand by. They're last. Check your target.
Of course, the Call of Duty games really helped standardize 60 FPS for first-person shooters. 60 frames per second for first-person shooters. So I'm not using FPS to mean two different things. Wait for these guys to sneak under me. I think I'm playing this on the normal difficulty. I don't want to crank the difficulty up too much because I want to enjoy the game for the video. That way I can talk about it and not get too frustrated. Oh, so that's another thing when I listen to the sound effects in this. When they re-recorded the sound effects for the guns in the Halo 2 anniversary, they basically took like actual gun sounds. Which is why they sound just so ridiculously good in this game. Let's see, what's my grenade gun? Oh, I don't have any grenades. Grenade button, I meant to say. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think they re-recorded the sounds for the campaign. I think it was just for the multiplayer. Let's see. Oh, no, they did. This for the campaign as well. Get on the turret here. That was another cool thing they added in Halo 2. You know, the turrets. In Halo 2, they added a lot of stuff to the Halo universe, or the Halo gameplay formula. You know, like the turrets and vehicles taking damage. You know, because the first game, the vehicles were pretty much indestructible, with the exception of the Ghost and Banshee in the campaign. And of course, we'll get to the multiplayer side in good time. I want to make sure I cover everything in the campaign here. Yeah, game was backwards compatible on the Xbox 360 when the 360 launched, and was still the #1 most played game on Xbox Live, despite 360 games being out there until Gears of War came out, I believe. But one of my major criticisms when I first played Halo 2 was, and this wasn't as noticeable in the campaign as it was in multiplayer, which again we will definitely get to that. A lot of the weapons in Halo 2 felt weaker versus the Halo 1, versus playing them in Halo 1. I mean, of course, Halo 1 had that 3-shot pistol, but like the shotgun, the rockets, the grenades, they all kind of had this weaker feeling to them, which one of the things that kind of turned me off for Halo 2. Again, Halo 2, although it was a great game when it came out, it was also a disappointment. But as it went on, it kind of established its own identity separate from the first Halo, to where people were able to appreciate it as one of the best Halos, if not the best Halo. A lot of the hardcore Halo 1 fans do not consider Halo 2 to be as good as Halo 1. But a lot of people that started on Halo 2 and tried out Halo 1 consider Halo 2 to be the better game, if that makes sense. Like a lot of my friends that I played Halo 1 with didn't care too much for Halo 2, but a lot of different group of friends that I hang out with, you know, we played Halo 2 on Xbox Live. They're not too much of Halo 1 fans. I mean, a couple of them will play it every now and then, but for the most part, they just don't really care for the game. Did I trigger the cutscene? I think I did. Or do I keep going? Okay, I keep going. I think the cutscene's in the next room. Yeah, here we go. I'm getting lost while doing commentary at the same time. Of course, one thing I really like about playing this in the Master Chief Collection is there's lots of different options for the controls that weren't in the original game. You know, like if you liked playing Halo 3 with where you reload with the bumper, you can do that. If you like the controls, it's more standard on like Call of Duty, where you hold the trigger to zoom in, things like that. You can do that as well. But yeah, the PC version. Haven't talked too much about the PC version yet. So Halo 2 on the PC, when that came out, that was hyped up a lot, and it looked really good. It looked phenomenal when they were showing the gameplay, unveiling that and everything. But there are a couple problems with the game. I mean, one key problem is the game required Windows Vista, which was the successor to Windows XP. And of course, Windows Vista, and we're going to talk about Windows Vista as well, just because it's kind of hard not to when talking about Halo 2. But, I mean, Windows Vista got crapped on. It was not too good of an operating system, which of course was replaced by Windows 7, which is why Windows 7 was a pretty good operating system because they kind of learned from their mistakes in Windows Vista. I was one of those people that ended up upgrading to Windows Vista to play Halo 2, and actually, I didn't have too many problems with Windows Vista. And from my observations and experience... Oh, did I hit trigger? Okay. My observations and experience with Windows Vista is it was depending on what PC you had and what hardware you had. Like, if you're... Oh, crap, I need some ammo for this. Let's see, I think there's ammo. There we go. There we go. Okay, so Windows Vista, like, if you had hardware where the manufacturers had good Windows Vista driver support, like, right off the bat, like... I didn't have a Creative Labs sound card in my PC at the time. I was running an Intel Core 2 Duo chip. I had ATI video card, which of course had just gotten bought out by AMD at the time. So a lot of the stuff in my PC, it had good Windows Vista support, where people that had like NVIDIA video cards or Creative Labs sound hardware or things like that, there's a cloak guy here somewhere, it kind of took a while for them to patch it for Vista to work right and things like that. So it was, your experience on Vista was kind of dependent on your hardware. So, I mean, what I did is I actually partitioned my hard drive at the time. So half my hard drive booted up in Windows XP and the other half booted up in Vista. And so the games that ran better on XP, I would just play on XP, and then like Halo 2, I would just play on Vista. And actually, for me, I bought the 64 version of Vista, but it actually I had like faster boot times and everything ran smoother. Even games that I would play on XP ran smoother on Vista, but Vista, they dropped a lot of. Dang, I ran out of ammo already. Holy smokes. They dropped a lot of support for hardware-based sound, because that's when they made it more software-based. Like for example, like all those Creative Labs sound blasters, EAX, Direct Sound, all that kind of stuff. You could buy a sound like a good sound card back in the day. Like I remember I had my Dell gaming laptop. It ran a Pentium M CPU, like the Centrino. Remember like the Centrino stickers you'd see on that. And that was a really good gaming laptop at the time. And that CPU was a really good CPU. I'm kind of jumping all over the place with the subject matter, but that's okay. Hopefully you're following me along. I hooked up a laptop sound card, the one that went in that little. I'm trying to get up here. The one that went in that little like card slot on that you would find on laptops at the time, and I actually got an increase in frame rate. Nothing like huge, but a nice little increase in frame rate and stability. Because when I would play games on that laptop, all the sound processing would be done by the sound card. So when none of it would be done by the CPU. So it takes some strain off of that. But when Windows Vista came out, they made it all software-based where the CPU can handle it. And that way, developers wouldn't have to program... they wouldn't have to program like sound drivers and stuff like that for all these different kinds of sound hardware and different kinds of sound cards. They would just program it for, just for Windows, which I believe was called OpenAL. And it was basically the same thing that the Xbox 360 was doing. And CPUs had gotten so fast by that point. I mean, it was basically like 99.5% of the CPU's power. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But of course the drawback is, like World of Warcraft, for example, because I was playing a lot of World of Warcraft at the time, is I don't play PC games or gaming with headsets. I actually use like actual 5.1 or 7.1 speakers. And even when I was playing PC gaming, it was the same way. And that's just how I prefer my gaming sound. But if you're playing a game like World of Warcraft, where you had your surround sound with your speakers, where you can hear things in front of you and behind you while playing on XP, but then you play the game on Vista, even though for me the game performed better on Vista, you're only getting stereo sound. So eventually all the game makers had to patch their games to support OpenAL sound, which most of them did. Now, Creative Labs, they had a software program called Alchemy that actually converted over. So if you're playing on Windows Vista and you have that running in the background and the game didn't support OpenAL, you would still get the surround sound like you're supposed to. Of course, their Windows Vista drivers in general, when Vista came out, was horrible. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. But back to Halo 2 running on Vista, it required Halo 2 required Windows Vista, but it was a choppy mess when it came out. And you could have the most powerful computer in the world at the time, which I had a very powerful computer at the time, but the game ran very choppy. It was like something to do with the VSync not running correctly, or some weird thing like that. I don't remember the technical details. I remember getting around it by forcing VSync on in the graphics settings on Windows, and also I remember getting around it by having capture software running. You know, like capturing your desktop gameplay, your PC gameplay. Even if you weren't actually capturing it, but if you had it running in the background, that would somehow like force it. At least that's what worked for me, and I remember it working for some people. I don't know if it worked for everyone. But yeah, if you had a slower computer, in some cases it actually ran better. It was kind of weird. But like in the bottom right corner, when I was playing this game earlier, I played this on the Project Cartographer mod, which is to make Halo 2 more compatible on modern PCs, which of course it ran much smoother. So you can see how that video is running a good 60 frames per second. It's not perfect, but it's very close. It's much better than it was when it came out. Of course, the Project Cartographer mod, I should talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to put a link to that site in the description. But Halo 2 also required games for Windows on the PC, which that was just another failure. And the idea behind it was pretty good, but basically the game required an Xbox Live account, which, you know, they called it a Windows Live account, but it was the same account. If you had one, you had the other. And I don't know if they were trying to compete with Steam or what they were trying to do. It could have been really good, but it sucked. Now, if you're doing a server search, not all the servers were Microsoft servers, but to connect to the Microsoft servers, you had to have an Xbox Live Gold account. But if you connected to other servers, like, you know, ones that people would put up, you didn't need a gold account. So you weren't missing out too much, and eventually they dropped that requirement. But Matchmaking, all it did was just put you in the best server at the time. So it wasn't matchmaking like Halo 2 on the Xbox. Nope, this door opened. But because it required Vista and because it was a choppy mess, not a lot of people played it online on the PC. So, I mean, the game probably had like, you know, 50 to 100 people at the most on average, even when it came out to when the game got deactivated, which is really sad. But like, even during its peak, you'd have 100 people playing. I mean, you could pull up the list of servers and actually count the people who are playing all the time. I mean, you could play that, then you could pop in Halo 1 on the PC, and you'd still see, you know, thousands and thousands of people playing that game. So, I mean, the networking, online support and stuff like that, I mean, that was good. I mean, there was no lag in terms of that, so that, at least that was good. Another thing about the PC version is it added a couple extra maps exclusive to the PC version, which they eventually ported over to Master Chief Collection. But the last map pack that came out for the Xbox version, which of course we'll get into that as well, it was remakes of Hang 'em High and Derelict, and it did not include that, unfortunately. But yeah, Project Cartographer mod. It's a free download. My understanding is, and I'm not a legal expert at this, my understanding is the game is classified under abandonware, according to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, under a certain clause, whatnot. So that way, it's basically a free download, and you can play Halo 2 on the PC, both campaign and online, for free. So I know Microsoft sent out a cease and desist for that Halo 3 remake that I did like a little video of earlier, that El Dorito mod, but they did not do it for this one. So I think that abandonware claim is actually pretty legit. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have an Xbox and you're wanting, if you're wanting Master Chief Collection to come out for PC, I mean, there's something to hold you over. You know, and system requirements in that game are pretty low. You can probably play it on a Windows tablet. I mean, it's a 15-year-old game at this point, I think. 14-year-old game. It's up there. Of course, trigger a nice little cutscene right here. Of course, hit the back button and kind of see the differences. Looks much more Star Wars-ish. If I remember correctly, there was a behind-the-scenes interview during one of the panels for Halo Master Chief Collection before it came out, where they were trying to find an actor that looked like Sergeant Johnson, you know, to digitize and play that part, and they couldn't find one, and they ended up picking up the janitor of the building that just happened to look like him. Pretty cool that every version of Halo is playable on the Xbox One now, at this point. Which, you know, I've talked about this many times, and I'll probably continue to talk about it. But, you know, my love-hate relationship with the Xbox One system is, yeah, I don't know what to say about it at this point, but I mean, you can pick up an Xbox One for a good price now, and pick up all the Halos and pretty much get your Halo fix on that system. Whether backwards compatible titles or remakes or whatnot. Surprised they haven't made the original copies of Halo 1 and Halo 2 compatible on the Xbox One yet. Which I think they will. I think it's only a matter of time. I think how well done these cutscenes are really helps to appreciate the Halo 2 campaign a little better, when before, like my original playthrough of the campaign, I didn't care for it. So I think it kind of helps add some depth and story and drama to it. At least for me it does. Let's see, here we go. This way. So I haven't touched too much on the Halo 2 multiplayer yet. At least not on the console version. So, of course, just to touch up on this real quick. I mean, of course, this was the first stage where you're on Earth. And you have like a big open environment and that kind of thing. You know, it's like in the first Halo, you know, you start off on the ship and then you're on the Halo ring itself and like this nice forest kind of environment where, you know, first stage in this, you're on the ship or on the station, and now you're in the city, so it kind of starts to introduce you to the universe of the Halo world. Did a good job with like the city remake. Actually, it looks like a city. Even the original looked pretty good. You know, you gotta think what gaming hardware was at the time. But I need to focus more on killing the bad guys. You know what? I want that sniper rifle. Thank you. Another cool thing that was new for Halo 2, which would be a standard for the Halo games, is you can exchange your weapon with the Marines. Like, if they're holding a better weapon, you can give them your crappy weapon. And of course, they'll give like some kind of smart aleck reply and take their better weapon. And then when your weapon was almost out, not when it was out completely, but when it was almost out, you could exchange it. And of course, they would get infinite ammo. So like when I'm down to like one bullet, I'll give this sniper rifle to one of the Marines so they can keep using it. And I try to give Marines sniper rifles in the game. You know, just because they're more accurate with it than I am. But yeah, the multiplayer, which I'm going to do some multiplayer gaming toward the end of this video, and I'll do some comparison with that as well. First game to support, or first Halo game to support Xbox Live. I mean, Xbox Live had been out for a couple of years at this point. More and more games were available for it. The biggest game I was playing at the time on Xbox Live was Mortal Kombat Deception. But there weren't a lot of FPS games on there at the time. So, I mean, this game changed everything for matchmaking, party chat, party support, all that. None of that existed for consoles at the time. I mean, it was basically built into the game versus being built in the system. So, oh, and proximity chat. I don't know how many people remember playing Halo 2 on original hardware, on the original Xbox, where you actually had to hold down one of the buttons on the controller to chat with your teams. But if you didn't have that button held down and you were chatting, it was proximity based. Like, you know, if like your Marine, or if your teammate or even your opponent was where this guy was and I was talking, he would hear me, and the farther away I got, the less he would hear me, until he wouldn't hear me at all. Which was a really cool way to, you know, kind of taunt your opponent or sneak up behind them. And I can't believe that no other Halos have really supported proximity voice chat since then. I mean, it was kind of the only game. I mean, unless I'm wrong, unless I'm missing one. This kind of blows me away. Here's another thing I was just to touch on. I was disappointed in this game. No night vision for the sniper rifle. I really liked that in the first Halo. But yeah, I mean, Halo 2 matchmaking, it had that proximity voice chat. It was really, really cool. Matchmaking, you know, it'd rank you up with people of equal skill. They had to patch the game a couple times because of cheaters, because, you know, people cheating on Halo 2 got really bad a couple times, but they patched it pretty good. I am running out of ammo. Let's see here. Let's use up my sniper ammo. But one thing that disappointed me with Halo Online right off the bat was no dedicated servers, or not so much dedicated servers, but like custom games. No way to browse custom games. Like, you know, when you're playing PC games and even the PC version of the first Halo. I got 2 shots left here. Yeah, just so I don't shoot him by accident. Get back here, Marine. Get back here. There you go. There's no way to browse any kind of custom games. So if I wanted to just start a big team battle game, like my friends and I used to play in our LAN parties, people couldn't just like search for that and randomly join. So you had to have like people on your friends list or people on your clan's friend list. That was kind of cool that Halo 2 had that. It had like a separate friends list for clans. But give me that gun. But yeah, I mean it was all matchmaking, unfortunately. Which Halo 5 has a custom games browser, which is really good. I mean, it was long overdue. But you know, matchmaking was still good. Once you got used to it, it was still fun. Of course, these guys are a little tougher than they were in Halo 1. Oh crap, he's gonna die. Yeah, shoot in their back in their exposed area. There we go. Oh, did a little flip. Let's see. But one of my initial things with Halo 2, besides the custom games, was I found the physics, specifically like the grenades and rockets. You know, like you throw a grenade down next to a bunch of dead corpses and weapons and stuff. You would see weapons stuff kind of go flying in the air. Like the grenades and rockets and explosions had more force behind them, more splash damage. But Halo 2 didn't really have that. The grenades seemed like really weak in that game. And even in the campaign they did, but especially in matchmaking. I don't know if they were like trying to focus more on dual wielding. Oh yeah, so Halo 2 introduced dual wielding, which of course Halo 2 and Halo 3 kind of popularized. But those are the only two Halos that had dual wielding. But yeah, weapon damage, especially in multiplayer, it was just, it was really weak. I mean, the first patch, they actually patched the grenade damage to make them more powerful, just because they were almost useless. I mean, they're freaking grenades. But even though you didn't have the 3-shot pistol, the battle rifle was kind of taking the place of that medium long-range weapon. But it still took a lot of shots to kill him. And even like the shotgun, especially the shotgun. The shotgun was way weaker. Rockets were weaker. Just all the weapons in Halo 2 were weaker compared to their Halo 1 counterpart. Whenever I did custom games, I would actually turn the damage multiplier on. So your battle rifle would kill in 4 bursts. I don't have a machine gun. I meant to exchange my sniper with that guy. Whoops. That's okay. Here we go. But yeah, I would turn the damage multiplier on, and that kind of gave the game a little more of a Halo 1 feel to it, and made the game more enjoyable. And I wish that was a default thing. But that's okay. Game had a good amount of maps when it came out. It had a remake of Blood Gulch, it had a remake of Battle Creek, and eventually it got a remake of Wizard. I think that was added in a map pack. But it didn't have a remake of Hang 'em High, and a lot of people wanted a remake of Hang 'em High, because that was easily the most popular map in Halo. And Bungie refused to make it, and even said they're never going to remake it because of the Halo physics, or the Halo 2 physics were too different for that style of map, which I thought was a BS excuse to not make it. But like the fall damage, Halo 2 doesn't have fall damage like Halo 1 did, things like that. But the first patch, which was the 1.1 patch, they made the grenades a little more powerful. They made the shotgun a little more powerful. So they definitely improved on it. It was a little better. Does this guy have a machine gun? Here you go. Take a sniper rifle. Although they did make the pistol weaker. Not the Halo 1 pistol, but Halo 2 pistol, you could dual wield it. And it had a good high rate of fire. It was pretty good. But the patch made it even weaker than before. So, crap. So the Halo 2 pistol after the 1.1 patch was pretty much useless. But everything else was made better, so that's good. Come on, cool down. There we go. So another thing I forgot to touch up on about the PC version on the bottom right corner there is I started off playing with a controller, because you can just plug an Xbox controller into your PC and just play it by default. But you can also play with a mouse and keyboard, so that's another advantage there, which you'll see me doing around this point in the video, I believe. And if I look over, yeah. So yeah, that's when I started playing with mouse and keyboard. But yeah, the maps, they eventually released the maps in the form of DLC. And I thought Halo 2 handled DLC really, really well. Like, when the DLC first came out, you had to pay for it for like the first couple months, I believe. It wasn't too expensive. It was pretty affordable. Oh, that's a guy that killed me before. There we go. And then after a couple months, oh, he's screwed. And then after a couple months, the maps would be a free download. And of course, they also sold the maps on a disc, because not everyone had Xbox Live at the time. I mean, only... Is that guy stuck? He was stuck in the wall. It's a problem with remaking a game for the modern times in the original engine, is in it you still have some of the original bugs. But that's half the fun. But yeah, not everyone had Xbox Live at the time. Not everyone had high-speed internet at the time. I mean, this was about 14, 15 years ago. So they sold the maps on a $20 disc. Which, I mean, you could get together with friends and just buy it and share it. But yeah, I bought it, even though the game, after another month, the maps were going to be free. But I still wanted them on disc. And I think that's a good way to do DLC. You know, sell DLC for a certain price, and after a certain amount of time, you can make it a free download so everyone can play it. And that way, if there's matchmaking playlists that require the DLC, it's not a turn-off for the people that already bought the game. And I think that's half the problem with, that sucks. Need some ammo. That's half the problem with DLC is, you know, eventually when it comes out, matchmaking will require that DLC, and then people just not want to buy the game anymore. At least that's the problem for me. Like, I never bought any Call of Duty DLC. Of course, the main issue for me with DLC is a retail game not providing the full price value and then stripping out the content to resell it as DLC. Kind of like Destiny did, and we're going to get to that in a future video as well. But yeah, I mean, when you factor in all the map packs and everything for Halo 2, you had a really, really big variety of multiplayer maps. And of course, the last year that Halo was out before Halo 3 came out, they finally remade Hang 'em High and Derelict, so you had a fourth map pack. Unfortunately, it wasn't on the disc, but that's okay. So yeah, you had a really good variety of maps. A lot of content. It was so much content. There was so much multiplayer content than when Halo 3 came out. I was actually disappointed with it because it just didn't have enough maps. And I'll get to that too. But yeah, even though see, I haven't touched up on the LAN parties yet. So, like in my last video, I talked about that's a cool wave graphic effect. I like that. I'll show the difference here. Showing the waves crashing on the beach. That's kind of cool looking. But kind of touching back on the campaign real quick. You know, of course, here's your first moment when you're driving a vehicle in the game. Or crashing the vehicle in the game, in my case. Oh, are my guys going to survive? Come on, get in. Of course, this is one of the things I love about Halo the most, is just driving around and shooting things, and just these open environments, these big worldly environments. But yeah, the LAN parties, like I talked about in my last video, my comic book friends, my friends I used to hang out with at the comic book store, we would get together twice a week and we would have our Halo 1 LAN parties. And right before Halo 2 came out, a couple of us had moved or gotten jobs to where we couldn't hang out on those nights or things like that. So we didn't hang out and have our LAN parties as much. But when Halo 2 came out, we were, excited to, do some more LAN parties. And because Halo 2 didn't have that same feel, or didn't feel similar enough to Halo 1, a lot of us kind of looked at the game when it came out like, Halo 1's better. So we played Halo 2 in the LAN party a couple times, but then we went back to Halo 1 before we kind of stopped doing LAN parties altogether. Just because of work and families and things like that. Or finishing college or whatnot. But as time went on, and when I played Halo 2 more and more, and some of my other friends would play the game and I had more people to play with, I grew to appreciate Halo 2 more and more. And I'm not trying to make it sound like Halo 2 was a bad game when it came out. It certainly was not. Halo 2 was a great game. But when you factor in the hype and everything, it was overhyped and it was almost a victim of that. Not quite, because it sold huge. It made a shitload of money. But as I played it more and more, I definitely appreciated it more and more, and definitely love the game more and more now. Still love Halo 1 better, but Halo 2 is definitely a great game. I mean, definitely better than Halo 3, in my opinion. I'm talking about in terms of the multiplayer, not the campaign. Campaign is still good, just not great. You know what? I'm just going to drive right into these guys. Alright, who's over here shooting me? There he is. I'll get a little more into more details of the Halo 2 multiplayer when I do the multiplayer section of this video later on. So one thing I love about this is, even though the rockets were a little weaker, they had a lock-on ability, like a heat-seeking ability. Oops, I need to equip this weapon. Where'd I put it? Because that guy's already holding a rifle, so I can't hold a rifle and give him a gun to hold two rifles. So nice thing about being able to switch weapons is you can tell your guy to get out, switch a weapon without doing that. Switch. Come on. There we go. Take ally's gun.
What are you waiting for, sir?
Now he'll get in the passenger seat, and now he'll be sniping people as I'm driving. And because the rockets in Halo 2 can lock on to vehicles, if you give one of the guys a rocket, or a rocket launcher,
Welcome aboard.
and have him in the passenger seat, You basically have a heat-seeking rocket launcher in the passenger seat of your Warthog with a gunner. So you can just clean house in all the stages. I mean, I will actually skip the tanks in most cases in favor of a Marine sitting in the passenger seat with a rocket launcher. Let's see, what's my progress on the bottom games? So it looks like the original Halo kind of in the same area here. Let's see, PC version I'm a little farther. Oh, I'm on the next section of the stage already. I think I was like trying to speedrun that game almost. I was playing that last night before I went to bed. Now I'm just basically playing the game to enjoy it. There we go. Of course, I got the Phantom dropships, which took the place of the Covenant dropships that you saw in Halo 1, which they brought back in Halo Reach. Oh crap, this thing is about ready to die. You know what? Let's restart from last checkpoint. I don't want my Warthog to get destroyed. I'm just gonna go straight over here. I'm gonna skip these guys.
The carrier just launched a wave of pods. They're inbound on your position.
Of course, there's rockets on top of this building, so I can grab the rockets, switch them with the guy holding the sniper rifle, so he can shoot the rockets. I'm actually going to skip that and just head straight for the bridge. Should be able to make it through. And that thing is really on fire. Oh, that's not too bad. It's just an extra effect. Extra effect for the anniversary edition. Just looks worse than it is. But if you look on the bottom two vids, you'll see where I had a passenger holding the rocket launcher. Whoops. There we go. Of course, the Warthogs are destructible in Halo 2 and all the Halos going forward versus Halo 1. And I think a lot of the reasons why people that started playing Halo and Halo 2, why they can't really appreciate Halo 1 is because of things like, because of the gravity, like the player gravity and stuff like that. Like, the Warthogs are a little harder to drive and easier to tip over. It's easier to run people over, but if you get hit slightly with a vehicle, you'll die, and just things like that, where it's like they're so used to the physics of later Halos that the first Halo just feels too different for them. And that's understandable. And because of that, they're not able to see the first Halo for what it is and how good it is. Of course, Halo 2 had a great soundtrack to accompany the gameplay. It actually had a couple tracks in the campaign, which they didn't put in the anniversary version, but they replaced them. But in the original version, which even if you hit back to go to the original graphics, I think it switches back to that. But like a couple tracks from bands like Incubus, which I'm not a huge Incubus fan, but they had that, another track, I forget the name of the band, but a couple of heavy metal tracks put in the game. Oh, can I make it past here without dying? There we go. Like in the next stage, when you're playing as the Arbiter and you're flying the Banshee, just kind of accommodate the score that Marty O'Donnell did in the game, which is really good. My commentary is kind of all over the place, but I'm trying to concentrate on the game at the same time. And of course, the bottom right, Halo 2 introduced the Warthog with the Gauss cannon, big railgun. Voice acting by Michelle Rodriguez. A lot of people forget that Michelle Rodriguez did voice work for Halo 2. Before Nathan Fillion was one of the main voice actors for the Halo series. He didn't show up until Halo ODST. I love this part. Now the funny thing about this right here, this little like cutscene, is Sarge's lines will actually change based on the difficulty. So he'll actually say something different if you're playing on heroic or legendary. So that's kind of cool.
He never gets me anything.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
So we got 2 Marines. We got one with a rocket launcher, another one with a standard weapon. Did I run him over? Oh, he's invisible. Why is he invisible? He's not invisible there. Okay, there he is. Must be some weird rendering glitch. Now, remember when I was playing the PC version last night, I don't know if this is just on the Cartographer mod or if this was on the Vista version as well, but you'll actually see the polygon outlines when you're driving on the bridge. I don't know if you pay attention to it. I guess I'm past that part now. So yeah, another thing that disappointed me was the tank was actually weaker in Halo 2 versus Halo 1. But the rate of fire was more powerful, and the attached machine gun was more accurate. And also, driving the tank was different. Like in Halo 1, the tank would move in the direction you were facing, which it still kind of does here. But if I turn around, you're eventually driving like this. Versus the tank turning around and always trying to drive in the direction you're facing. Where in Halo 2 and future Halos, I can actually turn and drive in the direction that I'm going with the left analog stick. So I could keep strafing. I could see here. I could keep driving in a different direction and turn to the side the whole time if I want to. So that was kind of neat that they did that. Of course, they have the little latch that covers up your head in the multiplayer now. Now you could shoot that a couple times and expose the head if I remember correctly, or at least in future Halos you could. If the tank took enough damage, your head would be exposed, so you can snipe him out. So yeah, I'm gonna play with the Warthog instead. So I got a guy with a rocket launcher in the passenger seat because I enjoy that much more. I want to try and just race through here.
Come on, shake those legs. Trouble, brother.
The funny thing about playing with the original graphics is the backgrounds are a little more exposed. And what I mean by that is when they designed this game to be played at a 480p resolution, most of the backgrounds were just like a flat image, and you'll definitely see this playing at 1080p, whether it's the Master Chief Collection or the PC version. And even the cutscenes, like when the ships are in outer space and things like that, you'll see like the background capital ships and whatnot, like as a flat image, which of course they kind of cleaned up with newer graphics. You know, it was a product of its time. I'll just smack him with a Warthog. I don't even know if the rocket launcher even shot anyone.
That's one more for me. Hoorah!
So we'll see if we can just kind of race through here.
Alright, I'm out of here. You got a problem, man.
You know what? I want your rocket launcher. Gimme.
On the other side, sir. Use
I don't want you to kill us with it by accident. Here you go. You can have it back now. Ooh, sniper rifle. Yes, please. I will take that. Whoops. Yeah, one of the reasons I don't play Halo 2 on Legendary is those jackals are just vicious.
tight quarters on the other side.
You can come around the corner and they will just kill you instantly. And it's too challenging to where it's not fun anymore. And some people might be really good and enjoy it, but I can't enjoy this game on Legendary. Mainly because of the jackals. If there wasn't jackal snipers, I could play this game on Legendary and enjoy it, but alright. Let's see here. Who is not holding a battle rifle? There you are. Oh, I'll take the shotgun. Thank you. Of course, the shotgun is, you know, like I touched up on earlier, it's weaker in Halo 2 than it is in Halo 1, unfortunately. But then again, you know, when you got the shotgun in the campaign of Halo 1, you got it like way later in the game when you're fighting the Flood. So it felt like a power weapon. And they kind of made it more like a power weapon in future Halos. Halo 4 specifically. But they did add the power sword in the first Halo, which was very powerful in the first Halo. See, our Marines following me? Come on, guys. Come on. There we go.
Let him have it. There's another one.
Ah, stop moving. So here's something that was really cool that Halo 2 introduced, is the Marines actually driving the vehicles. So that was really neat. I mean, the only way the Marines drove the vehicles in Halo 1 is you had to do a trick where a Marine would kill a guy out of a Ghost for him to get in the Ghost. And they would only drive a Ghost. They would never drive a Warthog or anything like that. They would make good gunners, but they wouldn't drive at all. Ooh, I think those are my Marines. That's what it's going for. Of course, the Marines in this game, you know, still don't have that good of intelligence, despite the enemy having really good intelligence. But they drive okay. It's not too bad. I generally prefer to just drive it, but that's okay. I mean, this Gauss cannon. See? It's just what I mean. Oh, am I going to make it over? Am I going to? Oh, he's trying to get in. Come on. Can you get out? There we go. Not too bad.
Heck got him. Sniper down. Let's go.
But yeah, they drive alright. Of course, in Halo 3, there's a couple stages where there's just Marines driving Warthogs and tanks all over the place. It almost felt like a mini real-time strategy game. So here we are. Here's 2 Warthogs. Here's me in one and Marines in another. So that's pretty cool. Like if you're playing co-op, which, you know, of course this game supported split screen co-op like the previous. You know, player 2 can grab one of those and player 1 can grab another one, and hope this guy keeps moving, doesn't stay stationary. There we go. Oh, there's a third one. Of course, the Phantoms, you can't take out the Phantoms, but you can take out their guns.
There's a Marine command post in that building. We'll need to help them deal with that scarab.
I always thought it'd be really cool, like in Halo 3, when you can carry like machine guns and stuff like that, if you could carry a Gauss cannon. Thought that'd be kind of cool.
Sir, Corporal Perez, A Company, CP's this way.
Thank you for the rockets.
The lieutenant got hit as soon as we dropped in.
Let's see, go this way. Of course, we're going to fight the Scarab. Let's see, which way do I go? Is it straight? Okay, it's straight.
I asked for reinforcements.
See, now where was that tank when I was down there earlier? See, you don't have me driving it. That's what you get. I love that line. One thing I've never tried is, I wonder if you stand where this guy is going to walk, if it'll actually kill you. I've never actually tried it. Of course, there's a section in Halo 3 where you actually have to fight 2 Scarabs. Alright, let's see how fast I can complete this. Got my sniper rifles. Got plenty of rockets. Whoops. A little too close. Let's try that again. I'll try not to fail this time. Try. Oh, did I miss a jump? Nope. Well, I got lucky with that melee attack. Alright, third time's a charm. Let's try this. Oh, really? You got in my way? You deserve to die there. Not me, the Marine. Marine jumped right in front of me. You know what? I think I'm going to avoid the sniper rifle. Where's the next bridge? Not too far. You know, I'm going to ignore the speed running for now. see, do we got more rockets up here? Should have more rockets up here. Yeah. Okay, get there in time. Oh yeah, we got plenty of time here. Okay, we've got 4 rockets left. The tilting of the scarab while standing at it always throws off my equilibrium. You see me kind of turning my head. Am I out of rockets? I am out of rockets. Oh, thank you for the sword. What's up, guy? Get everyone? Yeah, there we go. Success. Kapla. Of course, now we're on the next cutscene. Which, even though this next stage you got to play as the Arbiter, and it was kind of a nice little twist, unfortunately this was the last stage where you fight on Earth, where it got obvious that they stretched out the story so they can make a third game. Which, of course, you know, it's good they made a third game, but it kind of... The story of the campaign for the second game suffered because of it, which I guess I'm being a dead horse at this point, but that's okay. And for those who have played Halo ODST, this point right here is, of course, the beginning of Halo ODST, where you play as the ODST troopers in that city after that moment right there, which is a nice, it's a really cool campaign. It was different. Adjust my headset here real quick. There we go. So more cutscenes kind of filling in the backstory of the Covenant and the Arbiter and the Elites, kind of painting the picture for how not all of them really agree. Now, some of them who are viewed as heretics have branched off and trying to expose the prophets as fake, because they realized that the Halo rings are not these religious icons they thought, that they're actually meant to kill a bunch of people. And at first, you don't realize that, and as your prophet, or as your Arbiter character plays the game, he uncovers that and eventually becomes a good guy. Which I always found funny, because, you know, he probably killed lots and lots of people and lots of humanity. You know, oh, the humanity. But then again, if you've ever watched Babylon 5, so did the Minbari. It's cool graphics. I mean, the brutes just look cool as hell. They look like someone you don't want to mess with. Of course, there's the brute chieftain, who's the kind of the final boss in this game. So, even though a lot of the gameplay is the Arbiter, it does bridge paths with Sergeant Johnson and Commander Keyes.
first to last, each one created and consumed in times of extraordinary crisis.
The taming of the Hunters, the Grunt Rebellion. Were it not for the Arbiters, the Covenant would have broken long ago.
Even on my knees, I do not belong in their presence.
Halo's destruction was your era, and you rightly bear the blame. The Council was...
Yeah, so if you ever want to play the Halo 2 campaign, you could play it on the PC through the Abandonware project. You know, nice, affordable way to play it. You know, being free. I don't like to promote like pirating or anything like that on the channel, but if it's classified as abandonware, then yeah, definitely give it a download. Even if you already have the versions, you know, just give it a download and try it out and see if you just enjoy playing it on the PC. It doesn't take up a lot of memory. But yeah, I mean, Xbox 360, you know, the original version is compatible with 360 and runs really good on that. I mean, you can buy a 360 for like 10, 20 bucks or nowadays, and copy Halo 2 for, you know, a couple bucks. I was seeing them at Portland Retro Gaming Expo for, you know, just a couple bucks. Or then again, there's also the Master Chief Collection, which every once in a while you'll find a copy of it for $5. So definitely an affordable game to play now. And it's a great game for the price, despite being the first game being better. I can see people watching this that started playing the Halo series with Halo 2. They're saying, "No way, Halo 1's better than," or Halo, yeah, "No way, Halo 1's better than Halo 2." Got a couple of friends that say that all the time.
What would you have your Arbiter do?
So I'm going to actually see if I can skip this cutscene and just go straight to the gameplay. Actually, here's something I want to talk about earlier. So, if I go to the original graphics, you can kind of see how the background in outer space was, like it's just kind of still images. They're not like polygons or anything like that. You can see the pixelation in them and things like that. See, can I skip? There we go. Yeah, we'll just go straight to the gameplay here. Like, oh my god, I play as the Arbiter. I play as an elite? This is different. Of course, it limits you to mainly using Covenant weapons versus battle rifles and machine guns and stuff. Which, when they're fighting the Flood, a lot of them will have those weapons, so it doesn't feel too limiting. One thing that always made it challenging when playing the Arbiter stages, until later on when you're fighting brutes, is it's harder to distinguish what grunts are your grunts and what grunts are the enemy grunts. I always end up shooting my own grunts by accident because the action gets a little heavy. So yeah, the game introduced the cloaking mechanic, and that's something I forgot to talk about with the Halo 1 video, is, you know, that like this cloaking effect, which is pretty standard in video games now that have that, you know, like, you know, Halo series specifically. Of course, made most famous in the first Predator movie. When Halo came out, the first one, that was like a really cool, revolutionary effect you would see in video games at the time. Ooh, I'll take that sword. Like, even the Predator, Alien vs. Predator PC games, where you play as a Predator, it would just do like a basic transparent effect. It wouldn't do that kind of like light bending glass look effect. So when Halo first showed that, I was like, wow, that's a really cool effect. You know, here's like a big budget movie effect that's, you know, that's in a video game. Which, of course, now it's an easy effect to do. I mean, I remember the PC version of Halo 1 depending on your video card, a lot of video cards couldn't even render the effect properly. Even if your PC could run the first Halo perfectly fine. Let's see, is there a sword over there? Yeah. Slice and dice. Let's see, there we go. Oh, that's my guy. Oh, that's my guy again. There we go. Those are the guys I want to kill. Of course, the Covenant rifle here was new to Halo 2. It was basically the alien version of the battle rifle. It was your medium long range weapon. Cloak. There we go. Slice them up. Slice and dice. This stage is okay, but it gets really repetitive. It doesn't have too much going for it after a little bit. Got the Banshee section, so that's kind of cool. Wish they would have added just a little more variety to it. Which I guess they did with the Flood appearing a little later. But so I'm going to jump into a multiplayer game real quick. This is actually my second attempt on making the multiplayer portion of this video. I had some multiplayer games recorded earlier, but the final footage was just really choppy for some reason, so I had to reshoot it, which I'm doing right now. But I tried doing a search for a big team battle, hoping it would put me in a Halo 2 game, and it did. So we're gonna play a big team battle Halo 2 game here in Master Chief Collection, and we're gonna compare that to the original version down on the bottom left, as well as the PC version on the bottom right. So the footage on the bottom left, the original Halo 2, that's just old footage I had from back in the day when I made an old montage video, and that's all captured in composite. So don't mind the quality too much. I don't even know if I had an HDMI Xbox 360 back in the day. So yeah, HDMI. For those who forget, HDMI was not standard on the Xbox 360 until about a year later, I believe. So I think it was the Halo 3 version of the Xbox 360 was the first one to have HDMI. But yeah, Halo 2, like I mentioned earlier, all the party functions for the game, they were all built in the game, like matchmaking, party support, party chat, all that kind of stuff. And it was the game that really standardized online matchmaking, online party support, party chat. It basically standardized all that for console gaming as we know it. They had to build all that stuff within Halo 2 because it did not exist at the time. So when you see matchmaking in just whatever video game, whether it's PlayStation, Xbox, even Nintendo Switch, even though it uses that app for the party chat, but that was all made standard because of Halo 2. I mean, even though the Xbox does not have a presence in Japan, or at least not much of one, the impact of the Xbox brand has been felt because, you know, PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 4 now is a dominant platform in the Xbox, and it has the matchmaking and all that kind of stuff standard with their games. So I can get this guy here. Oh crap, there's a bunch of people here. I just gave him a sword. God dang it. But yeah, I mean, what can we talk about with Halo 2? Like I said, I was more of a Halo 1 fan. I think a lot of the reason why people that start off with Halo 2 can't give Halo 1 a chance or don't really appreciate it is because when they play Halo 1, they're not used to the... I'll see if I can jack this guy. Oh, he almost got shot. Oh, crap. But they're not used to the Halo 1 type gameplay elements that started in Halo 2. Like, for example, you know, if you get ran over by a vehicle, you get barely tapped by the vehicle and you die, or it's a little hard to drive the Warthog, or things like that. Basically things that they had to program in Halo 1 within the time frame that they had, but people that played Halo 1 really enjoy, and they kind of go backwards. They don't really understand the difference in the gameplay, and they can't really get past that to really enjoy the game for what it is, and it's understandable. I mean, perfectly understandable. If I started with Halo 2 and loved it and went to Halo 1, I might feel the same way. But a lot of the friends that I played Halo with at the comic book store that we had our LAN parties with and stuff, when Halo 2 came out, we had a couple of Halo 2 LAN parties, and then we ended up... How did I live through that? Oh, I didn't. We ended up going back to Halo 1 for our last couple LAN parties that we did before we all kind of went our separate ways with jobs, work, and moving, or whatever we did. But yeah, I mean, most of us enjoyed Halo 1. I still enjoy Halo 1 more to this day. And I think a lot of people that enjoyed Halo 1 back in the day definitely agree. But it's not to say that Halo 2 is a bad game at all. It's a great game. But it's just... Halo 1 just kind of has this... just kind of has this place in our hearts as the better game. But, you know, after playing it for a while, when the map packs came out and whatnot, it established its own identity for us, and it's definitely a great game. I mean, I enjoyed Halo 2's matchmaking over Halo 3's and Halo Reach's. So, but yeah, like the PC version, which I mentioned earlier, uses the Project Cartographer mod. That's the mod. It's a free download. You can play Halo 2 on the PC for free. I mean, you can play it today. It's still available, and it's not as choppy as the Vista version was when it first came out. So that was one of the major issues with that. Oh, let's see if we can grab a Warthog. Like when Halo 2 came out, and it was Vista only, but it was just a choppy mess, regardless of how powerful your computer was. But the Cartographer mod fixes a lot of those issues, so it's perfectly playable. But there's about 50 people that played when I was playing it yesterday, or 2 days ago, I think it is now. But I love driving the Warthog in these games. So much fun. But yeah, I mean, for those who want to play Halo 2 on the PC, or any Halo on the PC, and don't have an Xbox, I mean, there's a great way to play it. And Microsoft hasn't put out any kind of cease and desist, which, you know, the mod developers are claiming that it's abandonware, and they got the copyright code documented and stuff on their site, which, you know, they're probably correct. I'm not a legal expert, but, you know, they could be correct. But yeah, I'll put a link in the description for it. If you don't see the link there, it means Microsoft put out a cease and desist. Okay, live. Come on, live. Nope. Oh, Gunner's still alive. Yeah, I'm playing on the Master Chief Collection right now, as you can see. Of course, the Master Chief Collection has been patched and is pretty well fixed. If you have a hard time finding a game, it's usually just because a lot of people aren't playing that playlist at the time. Again, it's my second attempt at trying to shoot the multiplayer portion of this video, so if the video up top is a little choppier than I would expect. It's not the Xbox or the game itself. It's just capture software acting up for some reason. But it plays very, very smooth 60 FPS on the Xbox One. And has 4K support now, which is really awesome. I'm watching my montage footage in the corner of my eye, and I'm like, wow, I was a much better Halo 2 player back then. It's probably just going to loop when it gets to the end of the video, which is fine. Yeah, this map here, Waterworks. I mean, this is a pretty good map. Surprised it never got remade in any fashion. But we can talk about the Halo 2 the anniversary matchmaking multiplayer for a second. I'll try and show that off a little bit after this match is done. But Halo 2 anniversary multiplayer is basically how Halo 1 anniversary multiplayer should have been done. I mean, it doesn't use the same classic engine. It uses a updated engine, which I'm pretty sure it's the same engine that was used in Halo 4. Yeah, give me that Banshee. Reason I think it's the same engine is because if you I haven't researched it or anything, it's just kind of my theory, but if you try doing any Forge stuff in Halo 2 Anniversary and you look at the Forge pieces, you'll see a lot of the... I don't want to get jacked. You'll see a lot of the pieces were carried over from Halo 4 and Halo Reach. You know, Halo 4 being a modified version of the Halo Reach engine. So, but they made it feel and play nearly identical to Halo 2, with the exception of like some glitches and super bounces and whatnot. But oh, who's shooting me? Where's that coming from? There you are. Well, like they added the dual wielding, and or they brought that back. They brought back the rockets with the homing, the heat seeking and whatnot. So it definitely has a great Halo 2 feel. I mean, the physics and everything. So if you play classic, crap, get some cover. If you play the classic and you play that version, gameplay-wise, there's not much of a difference. The only issues, aside from wanting a little more maps, is probably some of the maps they made little subtle changes, like coagulation, for example. It doesn't accurately reflect the original version. You know, like just like a little bridge here, just little subtle things, not that big of a deal. It's still a faithful remake of the map, but I wish it would have been a little closer to the original. But most of the maps, they're pretty spot-on remakes. But again, like I mentioned in the last video, Halo Anniversary, it used it wasn't just the Halo Reach engine, but it was basically just add-on maps for Halo Reach. And you know, they could have did even more changes, even with the setup that they did, to make it more like Halo 1. And whether they were just lazy or pressed for time or whatever the problem was, they didn't do so. But Halo 2, they did that. So, aside from the Master Chief Collection not working when it came out, which is now patched, which I will get into that in a future video, it's definitely a great way to play Halo 2. And hopefully they'll make the Master Chief Collection playable on the PC. They have PC Xbox crossplay, that'd be great. Yeah, you're going to have mouse and keyboard players, but still, the auto aim on the console version will help balance that out, in my opinion. I don't mind crossplay between console and PC as a console player. It's better to have more people to play with. Yeah, map packs and DLC in the original Halo 2. You know, they originally originally had to pay for them. Ooh, took some damage there. See, that's another reason I don't like Halo 2 right there. Well, not another reason why I like Halo 1 better is you throw a grenade and you drive over it like that. That grenade is going to do some damage to you. You know, it's going to tip your Warthog over and that kind of stuff. Where in Halo 1, but in Halo 2, it's just you're just going to drive right over it. So, you know, I like being able to throw a grenade and tip the Warthog over and that kind of thing. Which they kind of went back to that a little bit in Halo 3 and going forward. Not like Halo 1, but kind of like in between the two games. Let's see, 1 minute remaining. Let's go out guns blazing. You know, this game came out, 15 years ago. And of course, the original Xbox, it required high-speed internet, even though dial-up was still the internet standard at the time. Like, I didn't have high-speed internet in my area where I lived until right around the time Halo 2 came out, which, I had moved about 6 months before, so... Come on, man. Someone's complaining. But, yeah, I moved into an area that had high-speed internet, so I was able to play the PC version of Halo 1 with a little better internet, and then when Halo 2 came out, I was ready for it. Oh, right at the last second. Which was good, because that way, people with dial-up wouldn't make the experience worse for other players.
You got what you're supposed to say? My team.
So yeah, game runs at a smooth 60 FPS versus the original Xbox version, whether on the original Xbox, original 360 as a standard 30. But I'm just going to show just the Anniversary Edition real quick. I don't want to wait for a matchmaking game. But you got your 7 maps here. Remakes of the original maps. Got kind of a modern remake, and of course the Anniversary version with classic layouts and whatnot. Kind of like they did with Halo 1 Anniversary. You had like the Reach version of the map, and then you had the classic version of the map. But for those that want to play Halo 2 online, if you haven't played in forever, you got the PC version with a Cartographer mod, which plays great. You just gotta get some more people, and hopefully more people will join the game. But you also got Master Chief Collection, since the original version is not backwards compatible on the Xbox One. But the Master Chief Collection, it's available on Game Pass. You can find it. You can find a physical version pretty cheap. Of course, this is just a custom game. There's no matchmaking. It's just to kind of show it off. But yeah, I mean, graphics look great. Gameplay feel look great. You can use 4 grenades again, unlike the future Halos after Halo 2. Find a gun here. Show the dual wielding. All the sound effects were updated. They re-recorded all the gun sounds with actual gun sounds. You just press X to reload. It's not like you have to press a different button to reload the other hand like in Halo 3. So it plays identical to Halo 2. I mean, there's no super bouncing, so they fixed glitches, obviously, but with the exception of glitches and real slight bounce changes like a pistol or something like that, it's plays like classic Halo 2. So it's a faithful remake. Again, I wish they would have did this with Halo 1 Anniversary as everyone who bought that game. But you can tell they kind of learned from that when they made Halo 2 Anniversary. So, again, graphics are great. See, if you play in the modern version of the map, I'll have like a little man cannon here that'll boost you up there. But the The classic version of this map here doesn't have that here. You know, like I was talking about the 2 versions of the anniversary maps. And of course, they brought back the Gozhog. So yeah, I mean that is Halo 2 multiplayer. That concludes our Halo 2 video. Hoping to have the Part 3, Halo 3, out in a couple days. So please let me know what you think below. Were you a Halo 1 fan that played Halo 2 and didn't like Halo 2 as much as Halo 1? Or did you even like it better? Or did you start off with Halo 2, and what did you think of Halo 1 when you kind of went backwards? Please leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys next time.